Hello, welcome to the All or Nothing podcast. Our official sponsors are KR Couriers and Transport Limited. This is a Northwest based courier company delivering all across the UK. They can assist in home moves and removals to large, heavy and bulky items, collections and drop-offs. Fast, safe and reliable deliveries. Please get in touch for a free quote. You'll find all the information within the description. Thank you. Hello everybody and welcome to the Billy Moore podcast, and today's special guest is Campbell Gillespie. You know, Campbell, thanks for coming on, but what an incredible story you've got, mate. I heard your story, right, when I bumped into a friend of mine, Antonia, who works in Little Luca. Nice one. She jumped in the back of your taxi.
She picked her up from Widnes, took her to the shop, yeah.
Yeah, and she said to me, Billy, you've got to get this guy on. I said, who is he? Because a lot of people say to me, you know, this fella's got an interesting story, this woman's got a great story. But she said, you've got to get this guy on. So she began to tell me the story you told her on that journey from Widnes, was it?
Widnes to the shop.
To the shop. And I was fascinated. I thought I need to get in touch with this fella. So here we are, sitting down after many months of negotiating, so to speak. We got there in the end. But can you tell us why you're still alive today? Can you tell us, like, your story? Because it's your fucking story, man.
My claim to fame is, Billy, and I truly wish that it wasn't, is that I am one of two people in the world to survive being struck plumb on the head by 1,000,000 volts of lightning from the sky. I know it sounds rubbish, it sounds bollocks really, but there's two quick ways we can check who I am. First of all, if your listeners go into Google and simply put my name in, Campbell Gillespie, that's CAMPBELL, Gillespie, GILLESPIE, or else Liverpool lightning strike, put either in and up I come. As I said, I'm one of only two people in the world, so me sitting in front of you today is roughly 4 billion to 1. My heart stopped 6 times. They gave me the last rites and they asked my parents to donate my organs. I had 4 blood clots in the brain, 1 in the leg. I have a new face, 34 plates, new eye sockets, new jaws, new teeth, new lips, new nose, new mouth. I was a top athlete. I could run 2 hours 19 minutes for a marathon, 71 minutes for a half marathon. Used to do 70 miles a week in training. And it's taken me 19 years next month, August the 10th, to learn to walk again, talk again, feed myself and wipe my backside again. I'm sitting in front of you, Billy, just for 2 reasons, and 2 reasons alone. My fitness and the grace of God. That's all that's kept me here in this world. Fitness and the grace of God, nothing else. All the NHS staff and that was sensational what they did, but fitness and grace of God, that's it.
It's incredible, it's amazing. Just leading up to that day, right, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your background before we lead up to that particular day, and how you've kind of moved on since. Where are you from and stuff like that?
I come from a little village called Lenzie near Kirkintilloch, 10 miles north of Glasgow. Lived up there, sport was my life. Started off as a cyclist, I didn't realise how good I was as a runner till I was at Boys Brigade one night, Friday night, and we went out on a 4-mile run, and I was back, I had my uniform on before the second guy came back. And also my first day at high school, Mr. Dingwall, in our very first PE session at high school, we all had the white uniforms on with the Adidas pump training shoes, all that sort of stuff in the day, and he made us run round the cross-country course twice. It was 1.25 miles per lap, and it was just mud down at the forest at the bottom, you know, and I was finished, showered and ready for the next lesson before the second man finished. And Mr. Dingwall, the PE teacher, went, Gillespie, did you cheat? I did not, sir, and I knew because he had binoculars, he had watchers, you know. So he reckoned he got something here. So within a week he entered me for the Scottish Schoolboy Cross-Country Championships in Kirstorfen in Edinburgh. They had 1,000 runners and I finished 6th out of 1,000 runners, and he realised we'd got something then. So sport more or less became my life after that. I could do everything, turn my hand to anything. all except gymnastics and basketball. I was dreadful at both of those, so I just avoided them. But everything I could do to a high standard, or in some cases a very high standard. So sport was my life. I then joined a cycling club, Scotia Cycling Club, became a very good cyclist, rode some big races, rode the Girvan 3-day, that's the top amateur race in all the UK at Easter weekend. I got put in my place there because the guys were elite, do you know what I mean? The guy that won it that year was a guy called Joey McLaughlin from Liverpool Mercury Cycling Club. And I seen him at the start, never seen him again for 3 days. You know, he was that good. Anyway, so sport was my life. It just revolved around sport. I'd be out on a Saturday, Sunday doing 80, 100 miles on a Saturday, 80, 100 miles on a Sunday. You'd race in the summer. Sport was everything. But then I gave up the cycling because I had to work a 40-hour week, and I was riding against guys whose mum and dads were paying for them to stay off work, not work, and just they could train all day, and I was having to train at night time in the dark, and that. I thought it was unfair, so I gave it up, and I started taking up running and triathlons. So I was running a lot of races, and my first triathlon race, it was at Bishop Briggs Sports Centre. Alfie Carnduff and his wife had organised it, and there was 90 competitors. It was 40 lengths the swimming pool, you know, and I came out of the pool 89th. I could swim like a dying fish. I couldn't swim a yard, so I came out 89th, and I was in tears, and my sister and her boyfriend are at the change there saying, just do a lap. You could do 5-10 mile laps. Just do a lap and see how it goes, you know. And I was like, no, it's finished. Do a lap. So I'll do a lap. So I did a lap, and I passed 20 guys in the first lap, and I went, oh, wait a minute. Do you know what I mean? So and then you'll find out from me, people always say to me when I get the serious eyes, that's it, I'm in the zone, I'm in the tunnel, and that's it, nothing gets my way. So the second lap, I've passed about another 20 guys, so I'm up to 50th from 89th, right? Third lap, passed about 30 guys, I'm up to 20th. So by the time the 5-10 mile laps had finished, I was 9th, and I finished second overall. I get beat by a Scottish internationalist called David Mepham, and his coach came up to me at the end and said, come here, son. He said, you're the guy that finished second. I said, I know I did. He said, you came out the pool second last, didn't you? I said, I did. He says, you improved your swimming, son. You could be international standard. Take it from me, and I'm a Scottish coach. So I did that. I started training for triathlons, did a lot of triathlons, and it was the pain I got off on, do you know what I mean? I loved the pain. I used to run against and cycle against guys, but I gave up the cycling because I wasn't good enough at the cycling anymore, you know. So running became an obsession to me, you know. Training became an obsession. Training 6 days a week, twice a day. I always had Friday off, don't know why. And I was getting very, very good. I'd ran for the county a few times. And then I was living with a girl in Newcastle, Jan, in 1991. And we went to Lanzarote for a winter holiday. Bumped into a guy called John Pickering, who lived in Liverpool but came from Newcastle.
Was he realised as a Ronnie Pickering?
Unfortunately not. No, he was not. But,
no, I am Ronnie Pickering.
So anyway, we sat with him most of the week. He was in his own windsurfing, and Jan and I sat with a good gab for the week. He said, I need to bring you over for Ladies' Day. And I was like, what? Ladies' Day? What's Ladies' Day? He said, just come and you'll be blown away. I said, I'm not that interested, you know what I mean? So I split up with a girl, Jan, and I'm back home, and he phoned me up in Glasgow and said, you coming to Ladies' Day? I said, what's Ladies' Day? He said, just come down. Well, I put my suit on and drove down, stayed with him, and of course, my God, you know what I mean? My eyes were popping out my face. Everywhere you looked, there was women everywhere. So did that in 91, then 92 I came down, and I fell for the fateful blonde hair, big boobs, 6-inch high heels, micro mini dress, big hat, false tan, false eyelashes, false nails, full makeup,
scalp beds,
standard Liverpool equipment, and that was it. We were together 8 years. Emma and I, we were together, and we were in love, you know. And she came up twice a month, I came down twice a month. I thought it was love, but I think it was just really good sex. So
it's usually the way, innit, sometimes.
So that was that. So we stayed. I moved down in 2000, and we split up in 6 months. I had to marry her mother to marry her. The mother ruled the roost. So I moved out, but I stayed down. I met a great coach down here. He got me sub 220 for a marathon, and for a guy who's doing 40 hours a week working as well, that's pretty damn impressive. Do you know what I mean?
It's incredible.
He got me down to 71 minutes to a half marathon. You know, he reckoned he could have taken 2 or 3 minutes more off my marathon time. You know, and I was out training with guys. Like we used to do a 10 mile run from Walton Hall Park along the East Lancs, down through Kirby, back up by Aintree, Rice Lane, and back Walton Vale, Rice Lane, and then back to the park. It was 10 miles, you know. So the first time I ran with about 40 guys, you know, and they're doing 6 minutes, sub 6 minute mile in pace, and that's good pace for training, you know. So after a couple of miles, guys started getting put out the back and dropped, you know what I mean? And I'm still quite comfortable, and I was like, Jesus. So we got to East Lancs, we're on East Lancs, turned into Kirby, and there's only about 25 left, lost about 15 men, and I'm still comfortable. I was like, Jesus, you know. We get through Kirby, and then we started heading up towards Walton Vale, and I started to blow, and I get dropped with 3 miles to go, and I'm a terrible loser, Billy. Terrible loser. And I was like that, you bastards. I said, I'll make sure I get you next week, do you know what I mean, you know? So I finished in about 13th, 14th place, 14th guy to come in at the 40, yeah. And the following week, I get dropped to 8 miles, 2 miles to go. I couldn't believe it. It was just going too fast for me. I came in about 9th or 10th, and then the following week, there was 3 guys finished in 56 minutes, and the third guy was yours truly. I thought I was going to die. I was lying in the grass in Walton Hall Park. My heart was coming out my chest. I was like, oh, I'm going to have a heart attack. 2 minutes later, we were up buzzing because you were that fit, you recovered really quickly, you know. So I started racing. I got my 10 mile time down to 56 minutes. I got my 5 kilometre time, 3.1 miles, down to 15.5 minutes. I got my 10 kilometre time down to 34.55. That's for 6.2 miles, you know, and I was absolutely flying. I really was. Everything was going well for me. My life was 200 miles an hour. And then I had my fateful day, August the 10th, 2003.
So talk us through the day and tell us what was going on. Can you remember it?
I remember nothing. Finishing work on the Thursday last I remember, but the people who were with me that day have informed me and told me more or less everything that went on.
And this is in Liverpool, it happened?
Dunnage Bridge Road, Rimrose Valley Park, 10 minutes from here.
I know where it is, yeah.
Yeah, it was August the 10th, 2003, Sunday morning, 8 a.m, not a cloud in the sky, 70 degrees, beautiful morning. And by 8:30 I'm clinically dead, no heartbeat, no pulse. I'd had a slight Achilles tendon injury, and my physio, Norman Rathbone, was working on me in the gym in Seaforth Fitness Connection. Ray Hanley owns it with his wife, Lynn.
How old was you at this time?
39. 39 I was. You know, I was coming at the end of my career, but I was still at a very high level, you know. And it was a Sunday morning. They're working on my Achilles tendon in the gym at 7 in the morning. So they worked on me for an hour, and then at 8 they said, right, we'll go to the park and try it, just some fast, slow work. So we went into the park. It was a gorgeous morning, you know, and we just got into the park. I'm doing some sprint work up and down, and I said, my Achilles tendon feels great, Norman, you're an absolute genius, you know. So we're kind of jogging back. There was Ray, Norman, myself. Norman's not an athlete, he's more of a kind of a jogger, so I would sprint off, then jog back, pick him up, then do another bit, you know. And so we're doing all that, and Norman remembers a rumble of thunder. He heard it, and it wasn't a cloud in the sky, and he says, we'll just make it back. Norman counts, he counted 1, 2, 3, and the lightning was 8 miles away, do you know what I mean? So we're just jogging back through the park, and there was a slight trickle of rain, and then there was an absolute deluge. And then about 30 seconds later, so they tell me, Ray had been in the Paris in the 70s. He had terrorist bombs going off, do you know what I mean? And he thought a bomb had gone off. The ground shook, everything went white, and Ray get blown in his face. Norman get blown in his backside, and when he looked up, there I am 15 feet in the air, and Norman being Norman says, what's that idiot doing up there? Do you know what I mean? He said my presentation was perfect. He says my hand and feet were tucked in perfectly, you know. Then he says, remembers the sound of my face hitting the concrete. It was like a knife going through cabbage, that crack, you know. And then he kind of came to his senses and realised what had happened, you know. And
so you were flung 15 foot into the air.
The lightning hit me on the head, right? Wow. Travelled down to my chain. You can see the chain, Billy. The chain's inside my neck.
Have a look at that.
The chain's vaporised inside me. That's my tracheotomy scar. They cut my throat apart to keep me alive. It blew the crucifix off me. I've shown you the crucifix. The crucifix get blown off me, but the chain get vaporised into my neck. I was then so fit. I was only 10 stone at the time. The lightning then sent my leg muscles into spasm. My leg muscles then sent me 15 feet into the air. Then I landed face first in the concrete. And then that's it. We've got a situation then. I'm face down in a puddle, not breathing, blue, blood coming out of my eyes, my nose, my ears, my mouth. You have to lose 5 or 6/8 of your blood to die. I lost half in the first 30 seconds. I pushed a sea of blood, you know. So anyway, Norman had 2 choices: either let me drown in the puddle or roll me over. He said, I'd rather have him in a wheelchair than alive, so he rolled me over, and I'm blue, nothing at all. He couldn't give me mouth to mouth because my face was destroyed, do you know what I mean? I had no features, nothing at all, just all jelly.
Wow.
So Norman being Norman stood in my chest and broke my ribs. Why would you do that in your right mind? So he could get to my solar plexus, and he started thumping as hard as he could. You breathe, don't you die in me, you breathe. And he hit me that hard. He didn't realise I'd swallowed teeth and blood into my lungs, and he brought it all back out. So Norman to keep me alive for 20 minutes. Ray ran for help. They ran a couple of 1,000 yards to get to a house. It was torrential rain by this time. No one would answer the door. Do you know what I mean? So after about 20 doors of him knocking, his daughter Jamie's friends, mum and dad, realised it was Ray and opened the door. He said, what's wrong? He said, it's lightning, struck by lightning, get an ambulance. So he was too distraught to speak. So the Jamie's friend's mum phoned an ambulance, said, you need to get here, guy been struck by lightning, do you know what I mean? So Ray then had the presence of mind to stand outside the gate and wait in the ambulance. The ambulance, he ran back into the park and the ambulance followed him. Now the gates to the park, Billy, are never open that time at 8 o'clock in the morning. Never in my life they've been open. That morning they were open. They got to drive straight up to me. Do you know what I mean? You know, the gates had been locked. That'd been a 20-minute jog with a stretcher. I wouldn't have made it, you know. So that's that. So I know that. I've done that many television documentaries on everybody with their first name. So Mike Pye, the paramedic, his mate Chris, they drove into me and they were looked at each other and said, this guy's dead. I was black as the ace of spades, you know what I mean? No movement. And Norman's screaming at them, he's just alive, he's just alive. So they get out the car, out the ambulance, they had to give me a tracheotomy because they couldn't put a tube down my throat, do you know what I mean? Because there was that much cartilage damage, just bypassed my throat, tracheotomy. And they were taking me to the Royal, and this is where things get a bit incredible. Mike Pye was connected that day to working to the Royal, yeah, off his own back, and he could have lost his job for this. Realised I had the worst facial injuries Fazakerley Hospital ever had in the history of the hospital, do you know what I mean? And Fazakerley is one of the world leaders in head trauma, and he diverted from the Royal and went to the Fazakerley, and that probably saved my life, do you know what I mean, you know?
The maxillofacial ward, was it?
It was, well, there was intensive care to start with, do you know what I mean, you know? I mean, Mike Pye's driving, blue light and all that, and he's on the radio. Tristan Elkin was on that morning. He said, Tristan, it's Mike. He said, oh, how you doing, Mike? What are you coming here for? He says, I'm bringing a guy and struck with a bolt of lightning. And Tristan Elkin, the doctor that day, he's now Professor Elkin, I should tell you, but at the time it was just Dr. Tristan Elkin. He said, shut up, mate, you're having a laugh. He said, I'm bringing him in. He says, he's the worst face I've ever seen, do you know what I mean? So by the time they got me there, Tristan had everybody all waiting for me, do you know what I mean? They had all the team. Now I'm going to cardiac arrest in between all this, do you know what I mean? I'm heading to heaven. Well, I hope it was heaven anyway. And they had all the team, and they immediately realised this guy's going to die. They thought there's no way he's going to survive, do you know what I mean? You know, so with his mum and dad, and they managed to get my phone out the gym, and the hospital phoned my parents, and my dad picked the phone up. Hello, broad Glaswegian accent, you know, hello. Said, Mr. Gillespie, said, speaking, said, this is Fazakerley Hospital in Liverpool. My dad went, shut up, put the phone down. They phoned back and said, do not put the phone down. Does somebody name of Campbell? Says, I do. He said, what's wrong? He says, he's been in a very serious accident. How serious? He said, we have to be honest with you, highly likely to be terminal. How long are you away? He said, 4 hours. He said, leave now. So without packing a pair of underpants between them, they just drove at 100 miles an hour. They had a situation as well. They get stopped for speeding at Fortin Services, Lancaster. And the policeman was like, sir, do you know what speed you were trying? And he stopped straight away and said, what's wrong? And they told him, they didn't know it'd been struck by lightning, they wouldn't tell them because pensioners might have had a heart attack, you know. So he then phoned his head office, who contacted Fazakerley, who confirmed it. He then said, follow us, and they gave them a 2-car blue light police escort from Lancaster to Fazakerley. Gave them a kiss and hug at the car park door. Said, good luck to you both. They then get rushed upstairs because I'm in cardiac arrest again. This is what gets incredible. My mother done the most amazing thing, I think, Billy. She went to the intensive care chapel, did a bit with God, very religious, my mother, you know. But my dad, he ran into the intensive care unit. There was an old man passing away, and the team were all working on him, so nobody to help him, and sadly the old guy passed away. So there was a priest giving someone the last rites, and my dad went up to him and said, "I'm sorry," he said, "Father," he said, "I'm really sorry," he said, "I'm looking for Campbell Gillespie." He said, "You Mr. Gillespie?" He said, "I'm." He says, "This your son here." My dad looked and said, "That's no my son, 'cause I had no face. I was that far, do you know what I mean? Huge head, the blood clots. Didn't recognise his own son." And he says, he grabs my hand and says, "Don't you die," he said, "you're a Gillespie, you fight, don't you dare die in me, Campbell." And he swears blind, I squeezed his finger. And he said, he squeezed his finger, it's going to be okay. And they didn't know what had happened to me. So he went back out to my mother, and she said, "How bad is it?" And he says, "It's bad." He says, "He's got about 20 machines keeping him alive." Do you know what I mean? She said, "Dear God." So mother went in, and instead of breaking down, all she could think was that was her son in front of her, and he was fighting for his life. So then they get taken, it was called the room of death in physically intensive care, and they were told, "Mary Alec, Campbell's been struck with a bolt of lightning." And my dad promptly goes, "Fuck off." Do you know what I mean? He says, "We're serious, your son's going to die. You don't survive that. He has so many injuries, we don't know where to start. The only thing we can tell you is he's an athlete of any kind." And my dad says, international standards, he was 12. And they said, "That boy's alive purely and simply because he got the heart and lungs of a buffalo." And the fight back began. They expected me to die the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Started fighting back on the Thursday, Friday. Came out the coma on the Saturday. Had a 12-hour operation the Monday, rebuild my face. I was out that Friday.
You were out the hospital Friday?
The Friday, less than 2 weeks. It's because I was so fit. My parents, they're going to send me to a rehabilitation home in Chester, Billy. And my parents said, "You send them there, he'll die." Because I don't do hospitals, not to scare me witless, So they said, "Look, you need round the clock care, 8 hours on, 8 hours off for 3 months. You can't do like your pensioners." And they said, "Do you want to bet?" And they took me home and they looked after me. They washed me, they fed me, they wiped my backside. I was a complete newborn baby at 39, and that's the basics of it. It's just absolute rubbish. I don't believe myself it happened, but I only live with the consequences of it. Next big thing I'm looking at is amputation of my left leg. The blood clot in the leg has damaged the valves, and the blood's not circulating, and it's shutting down now, and gangrene's sitting at the bottom, so it's a matter of time. But give me 3 months to get back my leg. I'll start driving again, and I promise you, I'll win a marathon. It'll take me 10 hours, not 2 hours 19. 10 hours it'll take me, but I'll do it because I'm a stubborn bugger.
It's an incredible fucking story of wow. I was just honestly, it just blew me away just listening to it, because shows that cross that you showed me before. This is the cross.
This is the actual cross that the lightning blew off.
You had this on, didn't you?
I had the cross on. It's a new chain. The chain's inside me. The old chain vaporised inside me, but that's the cross. There's a big chunk at the bottom of it the lightning took out, you know what I mean? But my grandmother gave it to me before she died, and I've wore it every day, and in a way, I was in the coma. I sat down with God for a cup of tea. We decided whether we were going to send me back or not. The way God looked to me was like the Moses movie, Charlton Heston, when he goes up Mount Sinai, comes down with a big beard and it's all grey and all that, That's what God was to me then. And the moment my gran and granddad appeared and asked God to not take their grandson, to let him send them back, I know it's probably my imagination, obviously, but that's how I see it, you know what I mean? And it's just... Did
you have any spiritual encounters while you was...
Well, people say, "Did you see the tunnel and the lights and the doves and all that?"
That's a big question, isn't it?
I had a nightmare in the coma. I was in a coma I had a nightmare, and I was fighting all week to keep me alive. Do you know what I mean? I was fighting them. They were trying to kill me with sabres and lances and axes and knives and swords. I don't know who it was that was trying to kill me, but they're trying to kill me, and I was fighting them. So it came to the last. I came to they were going to kill me, and I couldn't fight them anymore. So I lay down and said, "You're going to have to kill me. I can't fight you anymore." And in real life, that was the following week, and my heart stopped for the 6th time. My parents stood up screaming, "No, we can't be losing them." And he said, that was God decided whether to take me or send me back at that moment. And 2 seconds later, I opened my eyes. Didn't know where I was. I had treble vision. I was aware of a machine going up and down next to me. It was a heart and lung machine in through my throat, you know what I mean? And someone came up to me and said, "You've done it, son. They're going to rebuild you." I had no idea who it was. It was my mother, and They took me out, they detubed me and all that. They took me out of intensive care to a special high dependency ward where Eddie Simons used to run, and he christened me Flash Gordon. You know what I mean? It just, you know, it's
like a million bolts of lightning. Like, how was that even? You know,
power of town, power of small town. I've no idea why God decided it wasn't my time, Billy. I'm most grateful, you know.
How would they even know it was a million volts? Is that what?
That's the television experts have said that. Do you know what I mean? You know, I've done about 50 or 60 television programs. I've done a lot of scientific programs, but I've done programs like the Paul O'Grady Show, This Morning, the Late Late Show in Dublin, Bizarre ER. Did a program just 8 weeks ago for Channel 9 Australia via satellite. Program was called The 10 Most Unique Accidents in the World, and who was number one? Yours truly. But all the experts and all that, I've done programs like I Survived and Inside a Lightning Bolt, and they're telling me it's at least 1 million volts. There's no way I should have survived. Little boy in Blackpool last summer, little 9-year-old, Jordan Banks, little footballer.
Yeah.
Hit him in the head, killed him stone dead. Do you know what I mean? His mum and dad were very brave. They donated his heart, his lungs, his liver, his kidneys to other kids so he can survive in them. But 9 years of age, Mother Nature, you're a bitch, an absolute bitch. But she nearly got me, but I wasn't having it. I'm shot to bits now. I'm 25% back to the person I was. I've got lots of problems. I can do that with that hand, my right hand. That's as fast as I can go with my right hand. You know, I've got a lot of... I'm deaf and things like that. You know, I've got a lot of mental health problems from 15 feet. Does your brain no good hitting the concrete, you know? But shut up and go on with it. That's the way I look at it, you know?
What was your life like after the accident? Because, you know, you've gone from being an international athlete
to learning to walk again, yeah.
To learning to, like you've shared, you know, wiping your ass, learning to walk.
I tried to commit suicide in 2004, Billy. I went from being a top athlete to not being able to wipe your backside, you know, and it just got to me. So my parents stayed with me from August, September, October, November, and I sent them back home in the middle of December. It was far too soon, but I knew I had to try and stand on my own 2 feet, do you know what I mean? So they're driving, my mum's in tears. I don't want to leave them, and I'm like, I'm fine, Mary, I'm fine, get yourself away. So as soon as they drove off, I'm behind the door, fucking crying my eyes out, you know what I mean? And I was just like, shut up, Campbell, no time for sympathy, you need to get on with it, you know what I mean? And it's just, you know, it's the basics, you know what I mean? Like, learning to walk again at the age of 39, Jesus, from doing 80 miles a week, do you know what I mean? The first walk they took me, well, they walked me out of the hospital. I refused a wheelchair, being me. I refused a wheelchair and a lift. We were up one flight of stairs in Fazakerley Hospital. It took us 45 minutes to get from the top of the stairs 100 yards to where the car was, do you know what I mean? I was in two sticks like an old man at 80, do you know what I mean? I was shaking. They would put me down, with a nurse at the front of me, a nurse at the back of me, my parents were at the side, and they'd do a couple of stairs, and then they'd sit me down, and then they'd get me to the bottom, lie me down on the floor and things like that, you know, and it was just, and people like, that's the lightning man, it's the lightning man, you know, and mum and dad, yeah, and it was just...
Was it nationally publicised at the time?
I was never in newspaper in the world, and the day after it happened, do you know what I mean? You know, I've been doing newspaper stuff 15 years down the line, do you know what I mean? You know, 19 years down the line, you know, stuff like that. There you go. That's me. Just come out of hospital, you can see I'm green, and I've got the tracheotomy scar keep me alive. You can see it in that, how bad my face was getting rebuilt, you know what I mean? You know, it was it's been a journey and a half, but I was saying I tried to commit suicide, so I went from being a top athlete to not being able to wipe my arse and things like that, you know. So I did. I went. They told me I was sterile. You know what I mean? I was disabled, fat, and sterile. You know, and a trillisecond. You know, and it pushed me over the edge. So I went to the Runcorn Bridge one night about 2 a.m. I just thought there's no point in going on. You know what I mean? Who wants me now? You know, and I can only describe Billy. It was like an epiphany. It was like I just had this wave of a positivity blanket just flew over me. Do you know what I mean? I went, wait a minute, you're one of 2 people in the world to survive, and you're going to kill yourself? Is that how you repay God? And I climbed back over and hobbled back to the car, the most positive man in the world. And since that day, I have never, ever, ever looked back. Do you know what I mean? So much so, I do motivational speaking. You know, I just do it, but I'm looking to now get picked up by somebody, because you'll gather now, Billy, I'm left with the gift of the gab. My body's shot, but I can talk the hindlines off a donkey. And I I do Marie Curie centres, cancer wards, places like that, you know. And the subject's always the same. Never give up. Even the fat lady sings, you never give up, ever.
It's a story of resilience and perseverance and not giving up. And I can identify so much with that, because like no matter what background we've got, right, no matter what hardship we've been through or struggled with, we can always look forward and get on with it.
That's the way I look at it.
The positive side of things. Inspirational. It's really, really inspirational to where you sit here.
That's why I'm trying to get picked up by a motivational speaking company, because the inspiration I give people. I did a little cottage hospital on the Wirral about 3 months ago in Heswall, where the money is. Do you know what I mean? It was a little private hospital, and I got a phone call from the matron, Jill, in her 30s, nice pretty girl, do you know, and she's like, "Hi Campbell, I've heard about you through such and such, you know. I'm about to set up a site on, is it look at LinkedIn. I'm about to set up on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I'm going to set up onto LinkedIn. I've been told to do it by several people, so I need to start doing that. But she'd heard me through a friend of a friend and saw me on Facebook, and she said, "I'd like you to come and talk to my patients." She said, "They're all terminal cancer," she said, "and I've given up." She said, "But I feel I've got more life in them than that." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not just slipping away, you know, but to fight, you know. So I said, "Of course I will, Jill." So 2 days later I went over, and she'd invited her family and friends. There were about 100 of them in the
wow,
the little ward, you know. So I went in, I put the kilt on for them and that, gave them all the bit, you know. And Jill didn't tell them who I was, and I went in and said, "Hi everybody, how you doing?" And they were like, "Who's this?" Do you know what I mean? I said, "My name's Campbell Gillespie, blah blah, one of two, blah blah blah." And they went, "Bullshit, rubbish, absolute rubbish." I said, "I've had this reaction for 19 years. There's 2 quick ways we can prove who I am. First of all, Google Campbell Gillespie. Second of all, anybody with a bit of stronger stomach can check my neck." Yeah. And they went, "Oh my," and then they sat for an hour with their jaws down at their knees, like, "What?" You know, so I gave them all the stuff. Like, they always ask me, "What did it feel like to get struck in the head with 1,000,000 volts of lightning?" And I say to them, "Well, quite frankly, it's a bit of a shock." Then I'll say, "I was very negative, now I'm positive. Best one seems to be when I change a light bulb, I can always check it before I put it in." Really? No, you know, but give them all that, you know, and I get them laughing and joking, you know, and then I get quite serious at the end. I always say,
bring them in with the humour, and then
that's it, yeah.
Hit them with the feelings.
I hit them with the killer punch. Then I said, "Now look, all of you, including myself, we all get dealt a shitty hand. You know we get dealt a shitty hand. So you can either throw your hand in or head upstairs, or you can fight it. What's your choice?" Do you know what I mean? And they're all like, "We're going to play the hand. I'm saying, "That's it, come on. You must never," I says, "you must never give up, never. Even the fat lady sings, you never give up. And even after she sings, you still never give up. And when you can't fight anymore, you still never give up. You must fight and fight and fight." And by this time, they're all whooping and wailing and screaming and shouting. Do you know what I mean? You know, so then
you've energised them.
I go and speak to the 8 of them individually, and I said, "That's it, guys. I've had my bullshit. I apologise for it being rubbish," I said, "but it's true rubbish." And I got a standing ovation, you know. So I'm this particular one that sticks out in mind. I'm then Jill gave me a hug, and I'm driving home, and she phoned about 10 minutes later. She said, "Campbell," I said, "Hi Jill, I forgot my glasses or something." She said, "I just want to thank you again." She said, "This ward is pumping," she said. "The adrenaline, the enthusiasm, the positivity, and it's down to you, young man." I said, "Well, if I've done my job, I'm very pleased," she said. I said, "I'm sorry they couldn't get out of bed." She said, "These people haven't been out of bed in weeks, Campbell. They're too weak to move." Do you know what I mean? Yeah. She said, "Within 10 minutes you're leaving," she said, "all 8 of them are up in their Zimmer frames walking around the ward." Well, that's it, Billy. "That's great, Jill, fantastic." I'm crying like a baby, you know what I mean? Went back home, wife said, "How did it go?" "It went really well, and then got to bed." You know, but if I can inspire anybody, I will do it. I truly believe that God sent me back for 2 reasons. 1, to do the motivational speaking, and 2, which is the most important thing, I can't have children. I'm sterile, you know. I've got massive internal injuries now, you know. So I met my ex-wife. She was 40 by her sell-by date. I'm 44. I'm a Jaffa. I'm seedless. And she was pregnant in a month.
Wow.
I now have a 14-and-a-half-year-old son and a 12-and-a-half-year-old daughter, Brogan and Annabelle, better known as Brogy and Belly.
Wow, how incredible is that, mate?
There you're there. Told me I couldn't have kids.
Absolutely stunning.
He's 14 and a half. I could sell it for 10 pence on eBay sometimes, Billy. They drive you nuts. But the best thing ever happened to him, divorce.
Isn't it so, like, it's like you believe, like, you've met someone and you've been told you'll never have kids, and you know, it's miracle after miracle after miracle. You know, I can relate with that because I was diagnosed with cancer. I had stage 3. I was on chemotherapy. I was told I'll never have kids. You need to give us some of your semen before the chemo. We'll freeze you if you ever. And I thought, I can't be asked. That's never going to happen. I'll get to an age, you know, and I meet someone, and I've got a beautiful 2-year-old baby boy. That's just like, wow, this is incredible. This wasn't on the cards, and it's just like this, and my heart swells, you know, and I feel really like lucky that I've got this little boy that I could love so much, you know, and I've never loved anything like I've loved this kid. I look at him and I think, wow, he's me.
My sports day. My kids both went to mosh pits. This is years ago, sports day. And their mum and I don't speak. Their mum sent me a text once. You ready for this? The lightning didn't do enough damage to you. Lovely lady. Let's do lunch together. Anyway, I'm at sports day supporting my kids. She's in her bed and I'm in sports day watching the kids. And I started sobbing and crying. I'm like, that's my 2 kids. And it's busting out of me. And all the mums, because they all know me, they all mean it's Flash Gordon, you know, they're all hugging me and that, you know what I mean? You should be proud, you've got 2 gorgeous kids. Oh, look at it, 2 of them doing sports day, you know. But I become a very emotional guy, but I've become a nice guy in the end.
You know what, you never become, it's not like the emotions, you're more in touch now with how you feel.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, I believe, like, someone who's been through, like, what you've been through, and similar people who've gone down that road and that's it, to experience hardships, right, are emotionally in touch with themselves and how they feel, you know, and I'm quite sensitive to a point where, like, I don't really share it with my missus or anyone else, but, like, when I'm, like, I reflect or something pops into my mind, I go, or even, like, when I'm in a situation that's got not related to me, and it kind of triggers a feeling, you know, and you know, like it's a happy, joyous, and I feel all well up, but you know, it's a nice feeling.
You can't buy it. You can't buy it.
You can't. You realise then at that moment that you're human.
Yeah,
you know, you're human.
My life before my accident was 200 miles an hour, Billy. I was an arrogant little shit. I really was. Everything evolved around training, then work, then getting my leg over and I wanted. It was third, do you know what I mean? You know, I used to date a page 3 model. I was a good looking boy at the time, with the big gypsy earrings in, do you know what I mean? That's something I've even mentioned, the gypsy earrings in. I'd had them in on the day, they'd gone right through rather than round me, do you know what I mean? Took them out 2 months before the accident. Why? Do you know what I mean? Stuff like that. Anyway, I was dating a page 3 model from Manchester and I blew her out because she wouldn't fit into my training schedules. Training was everything to me. It was an obsession. Do you know what I mean? It was like heroin to me. I couldn't get enough of it.
See, like, I'm going to talk about this because, like, addiction, like, it can manifest itself in other areas. People, like, talk about addiction and see addiction as like either alcohol or drugs, right? Yeah. But as we say, it can manifest itself in areas where, like, the gym is obsessive.
Yeah.
What you eat, how you eat it, when you eat it, you know, your weight. There's a lot of addictive kind of traits that go on, and for me, the gym for me, it'll set me up for the day, but then I can get a little bit obsessive around, you know, I want to do a little bit more, and you know, then I'm lacking in time for the family because I'm spending more here, and it's reducing for them, you know, and I'm realising that, you know, so I've took a day off the gym today, but I feel still I'm not with the family in me.
It was like heroin to me. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't training at 5 a.m. Do you know what I mean? It was just obsessive. Do you know what I mean? It was too much for what I was doing. Do you know what I mean? But I couldn't get out of it. I was in a catch-22 situation, and it was just everything to me. As Norman says in one of the documentaries, my physiotherapist, he's now godparent to my daughter. He says sport was Campbell's life, and it was. Do you know what I mean? It was. But I thought I was training to win races, set personal bests, push my body to oblivion. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't. I was trying to survive a day. People say you do the lottery. I won the lottery. I survived. Do you know what I mean? You know. It's just I shouldn't be here. Odds of 4 billion to 1 I'm sitting in front of you, Billy. They're odds you can't turn round. Do you know what I mean? But Thank God I did. I'm standing sitting in front of you now, you know.
Yeah, this is the first podcast you've done. You didn't know much about what podcasts were, did you?
I need to, just to let you know, I'm going to lose my driving licence shortly. I need the licence to get from A to B because I can't walk. I do a little bit of taxiing, do you know what I mean? I got 12 points for doing 35 and a 30, 36 and a 30, 37 and a 30, 36 and a 30. I'd rather been doing 80 or 90 mile an hour, do you know what I mean, you know? So they were going to they're going to ban me. So 2 weeks before I was due to go to the Magistrates Court in the Wirral, I was going down by the Derby Lodge pub, down the hill, steep hill, So I knew it was 40 mile an hour. So they're standing at the bottom of the camera, and I'm doing 35 mile an hour, no problem. 10 minutes later, I got another higher down, 37 mile an hour. 10 minutes later, 38 mile an hour. I get 9 points in an hour. They said it's 30 mile an hour there. So I went in front of the Magistrates Court, and they sympathised. They weren't really interested in what injuries I've got. They didn't care, do you know what I mean? So they gave me 22 points, but let me keep my licence. But 22 points means you can't get insurance for your car, you can't rent a car, you can't do anything, do you know what I mean, you know? Not that I get any benefits. I get no benefits. That's something I've even told you about. I don't get any benefits. I'm not disabled.
Yeah.
I get nothing, do you know what I mean? But
so you financially, it's been a struggle.
It's a struggle for me every day. Now, I get done for speeding again the other day, doing 35 and a 30. They're going to crucify me, do you know what I mean? But that just typifies it for me, because apart from the NHS help me physically, nobody wants to help me. Nobody wants to help me at all, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the aftercare.
I'm on my own. The aftercare I've had is shocking. Absolutely shocking.
But people don't mind putting you in front of TVs and documentaries.
They're making money out of it, do you know what I mean? They're making money, you know, they're making big bucks.
But they're not asked about you.
No, see, I don't know if you've seen on YouTube, Bizarre ER lightning strike, put that in Upper Cum. That's had 5 million hits. And if I'd done that myself, I'd be making some money. But as it is, I'm not making a penny. But the people that are doing the 5 million hits are making money out of it. Do you know what I mean? You know, everybody's making money out of me, and I'm not making a penny. That's why I need to try and turn that around if I can, because I'm going to get banned. I'll lose my badge off the council, everything. I've got no sense of it. I only make 8,500 a year because I can't get out of bed sometimes. The pain in my legs so bad, you know. 8.5 grand I make, and I'm going to lose that because no one will help me. Do you know what I mean? Nobody. But if a million volts of lightning is not going to get me, do you think the DWP or the courts are going to get me? Do you know what I mean? I'll fight and fight and fight, you know. But so I'm going to ask the court when I go in front of them again. I know I've done wrong, 35 and a 30, you know, it's my fault, I know that, you know, but I'm going to ask they'll give me a ban and a fine, but clean my licence, do you know what I mean? So give me a couple of months ban or something. I don't know how I'm going to survive, because I see my physio Norman, who saved my life, I see him 3 times a week, because the blood congregates in my leg, do you know what I mean? We need to try and move it to keep it going, otherwise it's going to shut down even quicker, you know. But how I'm going to do that with a 60-day ban or a 30-day ban, I don't know, you know. But nobody helps me. Everything I've done has been down to me and my family, do you know what I mean? It's me and my family, that's all it's been. It's kept me going, you know. It's just, but shut up and go on with it. That's the way I look at it, you know what I mean? I'm not going to give up, not after 19 years. Don't give me 19 minutes. It's going to be 19 years on August the 10th. I have a good cry to myself in the morning, and then that night, my wife, I got remarried again last year. It's my anniversary on Thursday.
Congratulations.
Thank you. She drives me insane, Billy. We have nothing in common whatsoever. Absolutely nothing at all. We've been together 7 years and it works, and I can't tell you why it works. She drives me nuts. I drive her bonkers, and it works. She's my carer as well, do you know what I mean? I mean, this morning I went out in the taxi at 4 in the morning for a couple of hours, you know, because my leg was so bad. I didn't want to keep her up. She gets up, puts my underpants on, my socks, my jogging trousers, my trainers. I can't do it anymore, you know, because as I said, I can do that, and that's as fast as I can go with that, you know. I'm shot to bits, but I'm also the luckiest guy in the world, and I thank God every day I'm here, because as I said, if it wasn't for my fitness and the big man upstairs, I am blowing in the wind, you know. So
your parents, they looked after you, right? What's become of them now?
Well, they've actually turned up my doorstep today, out of the blue.
So both of them are still alive?
My dad's 86, my mum's 85. They're old now. They're really slowing down, but I've still got the 2 of them. I've got a lot of friends who don't have their parents, you know what I mean? I'm very lucky, you know what I mean? I mean, 2 weeks before the accident, I'm up at my parents'. I was a manager for a fireplace company. I could sell sand to the Arabs in my day, really good, you know? Amazing with the gifts of the gab I've got. Anyway, I'm up at my parents, and if I sold up in Scotland, I never used to stay at a hotel or anything like that. I got £100. This is 19. This is 2000, 2001, 2002. £100 a lot more money than it is now, and that would get me a hotel and breakfast and dinner, you know. And I never used to go. I used to always stay at my parents. So one of the directors, Graham Wortley, said, "Listen, Campbell, you're never spending anything in the company. Do you know what I mean? Apart from fuel and making us good business." He said, "Take your parents out for a meal." My parents are homebirds, like to stay at home and the family round. So I'd get a big Chinese, pick my sister up, she'd leave the husband and kids at home, go to the house, mum and dad, my sister and I would talk about old times and old holidays, have a great laugh, you know. Anyway, I'd lost my donor card, and I said to my mum, I said, "Listen, I've lost my donor card, and this is something I feel strongly about, Billy. If you die and take all your organs with me, you're just being bloody selfish. I'm sorry. They can save lives when your life's over. Do it." You know what I mean? Anyway, I said, "I've lost my donor card." I said, "You know, if anything happens to me before I get a new one, they can have anything they want." My mum snapped back. She said, "Don't be bloody stupid," she said. "Nothing's going to happen to you. You're as fit as a flea." 2 weeks later, she's asked to donate my organs, you know. The other one about that night was coming up to Scotland. I'd heard this group on the television called, I think what their name was, and I thought it was Elivo or Elivo, and my sister said, Il Divo. I said, "That's it, Il Divo." I said, "I heard them, magnificent, you know." So my sister remembered this from intensive care, because they were asking my parents, was there anything that would inspire me? So my sister, the album Sempre was just about to be released, their first album, and Simon Cowell was their manager at that time. My sister, out of the blue, phones down London, right? And you ready for this? She got right through to Simon Cowell. He went from 1 to 1. My name's Campbell. Everything in the world knew about me. Do you know what I mean? You know the lightning guy I am. Hold on, I'll put you through. And she said, "Hi, Jacqueline, it's Simon Cowell here." My sister went, "Hi, Simon." She says, "How's your brother?" She said, "He's very grave reality, so he's going to die. We're trying to inspire him. What can I do?" He said, "The album Sempre," he said, "consider it done. I'll get it set up to you straight away." He then went next door where Il Divo were actually recording their next album, got them all to sign it, and then off his own back. I know he's a millionaire, but it was a gesture. He then got a motorbike courier to drive it to Liverpool and deliver it to the intensive care personally, and they played it for me with intensive care, and they think that's one of the things that might have brought me back as well, you know.
Big shout out to Cinnamon Cowcakes then, eh?
It is. I've got so many different stories, Billy. We'd be sitting here for days. There's that much I've only learned over a certain amount of times. My parents won't talk about it a lot, you know what I mean, because it was too traumatic, you know what I mean. Seeing their son with his throat wide open, with a massive head with blood clots, you know, and fighting for his life, you know, it upsets them, you know, but they didn't give me 19 minutes. It's going to be 19 years this August the 10th, and I'm very grateful, you know. I thank God every day.
You've also started a book yourself, haven't you? You've written...
Well, I've written 30,000 of a book. I gave it to
my publisher,
a literary agent, yeah, and he tore it to ribbons.
He will do. Jonathan's really good at that, so...
Yeah, but I thought he was a little bit, considering it was my life, I thought he was rather rude personally, but he spoke his mind and that was it. Thank you for your time. But I'm trying to get hold of some other agents. I spoke to some other people and they're very interested in it, you know, so I might have to self-publish. I don't know. I need the help of a writer. If there's anybody that's a writer, you're going to get 40-50% of what comes out of it, and I truly believe that if it gets in front of the right people, it's going to be a world beater. Do you know what I mean? Because the story's almost unique. Do you know what I mean? Me and a guy in America, the only two guys in the world. The other guy in America, his name's Mike Utley. He was in a coma for a month. He wasn't an athlete. He was playing golf. Who in their right mind holding a golf club when there's lightning in the air? Do you know what I mean? He wasn't an athlete. He was a coma for a month. We've done documentaries together. We've done seminars in Chicago Bears football stadium. The world leader in lightning strikes, a Dr. Marianne Cooper, Chicago University, holds a seminar every 10 years at Chicago Bears football stadium. So she held this seminar and I was the guest of honour along with Mike Utley. And Mike only spoke for a couple of minutes and then they put me up. Sit down, you might get comfortable. I gave them 45 minutes, got a standing ovation, you know, and it's just... But I truly believe the book, somebody gets in the right frame of mind and the right person to get it in front of, I think that it'll go. But I need a writer, I need someone to help me, do you know what I mean? You know, I need some help. But once again, I'm having to do it all myself, you know, but I'm kind of used to it by now. For 19 years, it has been the hardest fight of my life. I wouldn't put my worst enemy through what I've been through. I really wouldn't, you know what I mean? And there's not many people could have survived what I've survived, you know. It's just, but As I keep saying today, I die, Billy. Shut up and go on with it, Campbell.
Well, if there's anyone out there who's listening to this podcast today, you know, and I'd like to, and is in a position to help Campbell or give him some guidance, then feel free to send me a message, or I'll put all your details within the description.
That's
so
great.
that you can contact yourself.
That's great, Billy. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you.
And I'm pretty sure, you know, you'd be great at motivational speaking.
I need to try and find somebody to help me with that. If there's anybody out there as well who knows how to get into motivational speaking or has a little business or such like, do you know what I mean? I approached a company in Prescott who seemed very interested in me, but never get back to me. Do you know what I mean? Obviously they've gone bust, or they just didn't want to know me, which I thought was pretty incredible. I took one of the bosses home one night to his home in Park Lane in Netherton, and when he found out what had happened to me and that I did motivational speaking, he absolutely jumped at me. But they never get back to me, you know. So
some people just at that time, in that moment, you know, they want you, but things come across, you know, different when they get you.
Yeah, when you get down in front of them, yeah.
Well, you see, we're coming to the end of this podcast now, but you know what? I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I was fascinated by your story. It's incredible, you know.
It's
the first time
nonsense. It's rubbish.
It's the first time I've heard it, but you know what? As a motivational speaker, I believe you will be a good one, right? At the end of every podcast, I always ask me guest, is there any pearls of wisdom, any inspirational you can say to someone? So what would you say to a young Campbell Gillespie now, walking through the doors of life? If you had the opportunity, you'd seen he's been through that same...
I would be a far kinder, considerate, caring individual. The world revolved around me before, and I was an obnoxious person. Do you know what I mean? The world revolved around me, and now, after my little moment, because it wasn't an accident, it was an argument with Mother Nature, and afterwards, I'm a far kinder, considerate, caring, loving individual. I've got a beautiful second wife. I've got 2 stunning kids. I'm going to lose my license, but I'll always bounce back in one way or another. Do you know? But the parting statement I'd give, Billy, is what I've said to you earlier, and I always get very emotional over saying it. It's simple. Never give up. Never, ever. We're here with a short time. There's people going into my taxi sometimes say, I'm depressed or I'm fed up, and I want to shake them, but you haven't a bloody clue. I look perfectly normal, but it's taken 19 years to get to this stage. Do you know what I mean? I mean, my parents lift me up to take me to the bathroom, for Christ's sake, you know? It's just... But never give up. Even when the fat lady signs, you must never, ever, ever give up. There's always, if you're having a hard day, you kick it in the ass, you bat it out the park, and you come back the next day bouncing. You must do that, you know what I mean? And life is it's just fantastic to be alive. I'm always smiling. I'll never give up, and it's just, thank God every day I'm here. It's an absolute pleasure.
And with that, thank you very much.
Pleasure, young man. It's an absolute pleasure.